Chapter 26. Arriving at Pulau Tengah Refugee Camp. The sea that morning was strangely gentle. For days and nights it had tormented us, roaring, heaving, tossing us between life and death like a cruel master testing our endurance. Yet now, as if it too had grown weary of our suffering, the waves softened, rolling beneath our battered boat in slow rhythms. In the distance, faint outlines of land appear, rising out of the vastness of the water, like a dream shaping itself into reality. Pulau Tengah. The name itself meant nothing to most of us when whispered from mouth to mouth. An island in Malaysia, a dot on the map. Yet to our tired eyes and weary bodies, it was more than land. It was a deliverance. It was survival. It was a promise that our journey had not been in vain. The closer we drifted, the clearer the island revealed itself, fringes of golden sand stretching in a curve, tall palms swaying gently in the sea breeze, and behind them a green covering of tropical trees. The sunlight poured across the landscape, dazzling our eyes, almost too bright for our souls to shadow by fear and hunger. It looked like paradise, and yet for us it was not paradise. It was refuge, fragile and uncertain, but refuge nonetheless. A small boat approaching us from the shore. On board were men and women dressed in white shirts, marked with a symbol of Red Cross. The emblem shone against the sun, two simple lines, yet carrying an authority that stilled us. They lifted their arms, motioning, firming for us to remain offshore. Their gestures were unmistakable. Do not come closer yet. A murmur spread across the crowded vessel. Some groaned in frustration, their feet itching to touch land. Others collapsed in relief just from sight of organized help. But we obey. We had learned in these endless days of escape that patience was the last strength left to us. The Red Cross workers called out in English. Their words foreign to many ears, yet the tone carried clarity. We would not be permitted to land until our numbers were recorded, our health checked, and the necessary documents prepared. They must have seen too many boats before us, arriving with desperation, sometimes with sickness, sometimes with the dead among the living. Their duty was to bring order to our chaos, to measure and contain what felt immeasurable. So we waited. The sea became our holding ground. The boat swayed gently, but within our hearts raced with both eagerness and fear. I could hear whispers around me, prayers muttered under breath, rosary beads slipping through trembling fingers, songs of gratitude hummed softly by mothers to soothe crying children. The smell of salt and sweat hung thick in the air, yet beneath it was current of something new, anticipation. On the shore we saw movement. At first it seemed like a crowd gathering, but soon we realized it was not just spectators. They were refugees, Vietnamese like us, who had arrived earlier, drawn by the sight of new boat. They had rushed to the beach, lining the shoreline in hundreds, perhaps thousands. People plunged into the sea, swimming with frantic strokes, their faces contorted with hope and fear. They called out for brothers or daughters, for husbands and wives. The air filled with sound of voices breaking against the waves was scattered but heavy with love. I pressed my hands to my chest, unable to breathe from the sight. Joy and sorrow mingled in me, for every face reunited reminded me of faces that I have left behind. The hours dragged on. Officials boarded our vessel, clipboards in hand, their eyes sharp yet compassionate. They counted us once, then again. They checked the wounds, inspected the weak. They handed out papers. Some children too weak to stand were lifted in their arms as they were their own. For the first time in weeks, I felt the presence of order, of care. These strangers did not treat us as burdens, they treated us as human beings. Finally, the signal came, the wave of the arm, a nod, a smile. We were allowed to move forward. The anchor was pulled, the ropes untangled, and slowly, inch by inch, our boat crept toward the shore. The waters grew shallow, revealing the sandy bottom beneath. My breath caught as the keel finally scraped against sand. We had arrived. The shoreline erupted in cheers. Thousands of refugees crowded together, clapping, shouting, waving us in. Their voices were not only for us, they were for themselves. A reminder that survival was possible, that every boat arriving was proof of human endurance. One by one, people disembarked. Some staggered, their legs unused to solid ground. Others fell to their knees the moment their feet touched sand, pressing their lips against the earth, sobbing with ingratitude. Children squealed, running barefoot across the warm shore. Mothers clutched their babies close, their faces tilted toward the sky. It was a festival of survival. But not for me. I did not move. I remained seated on the boat, my hands covering my face, my body trembling uncontrollably. Tears poured out of me, hot and unstoppable. My chest convulsed with sobs so violent I thought I would choke. Around me, laughter and cheers filled the air, yet I was drowning in grief. Yes, I was alive. Yes, I had survived, but survival came at the cost too heavy for my heart. The truth hit me with unbearable clarity. There was no turning back. Vietnam was behind me forever. My parents, my childhood home, my siblings, all of it was now sealed in the past. The sea had carried me to freedom, but it had also severed me from everything I loved. I pressed my hands against my face, tasting the salt of my tears mingling with the salt of the sea. It was as if the ocean itself had entered me, leaving its sting in my mouth, its burn in my eyes. I bent down and washed my face with sea water, but instead of cleansing, it only deepened the sting. My eyes burned, not just from salt, but from sorrow, too great for words. This was not the weeping of fear. It was not even the weeping of relief. It was the weeping of farewell. A farewell to my parents who would never know if I survived. A farewell to my siblings, some of whom I might never see again. A farewell to the streets where I grew up, the school where I wore my áo dài trắng, the familiar alleys scented with jasmine and foot stones, a farewell to my language as it was spoken at home, to the songs my mother sang, to the way the wind carried the smell of rain through Saigon. I cried because the sea had carried me away, but it had also carried me into exile. And yet, in that exile was the seed of freedom. I lifted my face, wet with tears and sea water, and looked again at the island. The camp awaited, rows of shelters, lights of people moving, voices calling. It was not home. It was not yet safe in the deepest sense, but it was a beginning. My body shook as I whispered to myself, as if praying to both God and my ancestor. Goodbye Vietnam, goodbye bà má. Con đi rồi, con sẽ sống, con hứa. Xin tha thứ cho con. Which means I'm gone, I leave, and I promise, please forgive me. The sun beat down, warming my wet face. The voices of the crowd reached me, pulling me from my grief. Slowly, with trembling legs, I stood. Each step forward felt like betrayal, yet also like necessity. I placed my foot onto the sand. It sank slightly, soft and warm, the earth of foreign land. Yet in that moment, it became the ground of survival. I took another step and another until I was walking among my fellow refugees, carried forward by their strength. Behind me, the boat rocked gently in the tide. The vessel that had carried us from death to life, from despair to hope, from homeland to exile, would soon be left behind. Already, it seems like a memory. And I knew with a clarity sharper than any knife, life would never be the same again. I had crossed the threshold from despair to hope, from homeland to exile, from captivity to freedom. Pulau Tengah was not the end of my journey, it was only the first chapter of a new life. And though my heart ached with the unbearable weight of farewell, I whispered within myself, this is it. I must leave. I must carry on, not only for me, but for all those I left behind. A new dawn. When dawn broke, the horizon was no longer empty. The first light revealed a world of possibility. We were no longer refugees, adrift in the night. We were survivors, witnesses of mercy, carriers of stories that would outlive us. This is the end of chapter 26, to be continued.
Tell me all about this name, and it's difficult to say. It was given me the day I was born. Want to know about the stories of the